Hello and welcome to Seismic Cinema Podcast. Get the autograph books out because we have hit the big time. Only joking. So the real intro is to put your feet up on Drogon's saddles, grab Longclaw, and prepare to fight the White Walkers with us for the next 40 to 50 minutes.
Nice. I like that intro. It was a better one for once.
Oh, thank you. So this is our ranking of our favorite Game of Thrones characters, and this is the follow-up to our most successful podcast ever, our ranking of the Game of Thrones houses, which hit 1,200 views, which is about 1,150 more than we normally get.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock, but I think it's just the dark mysteries of YouTube, isn't it?
So thank you to everyone who checked that out. One glaring thing we've noticed, though, is 80% of our viewers don't subscribe to the channel. We managed to get one new viewer. We're up to 57. So if you're checking out this video, make sure you subscribe. And also, I found out that we have a decent fan base in India and Pakistan.
Well, they didn't subscribe, so maybe they weren't that impressed.
Well, it's still pretty cool. So obviously these podcasts are in the lead up to House of the Dragon coming out, which comes out on Monday. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. And we're hoping to review some of that, but we're also quite enjoying just getting back into some of the OG Game of Thrones content as well.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I found this really difficult to do. I've got such a massive list, like I starred all the characters I was going to put in it, and then I was like, trying to narrow it down was so hard.
That's exactly what I did. And yeah, there's so many there. And I started looking at articles like the top 100 characters. And I was like, oh, I forgot about them. You actually forget about so many of the characters, I would say.
Yeah. I know. It's just star-studded, isn't it?
Yeah. Probably the biggest ensemble cast in the history of TV.
Yeah, it's probably up there, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. Probably the only thing that would maybe match it's like Endgame in terms of cinema.
Aye, probably.
Right, so we're going to top 10, starting from 10 all the way down to 1, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of honourable mentions at the end because I'm unhappy with some of the people I left out, but sometimes you just got to go with it. So, you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Oh, you go first.
Right, so I picked in 10th place of Tyrell House, I picked Marjorie Tyrell.
Oh, Marjorie. Young Marjorie.
I just think she's such a clever character. But the way she manipulated multiple kings to eventually become queen, it was a thing of beauty.
Oh yeah, she does, doesn't she? She plays all the sides well.
Because she was with Renly, who she knew wasn't interested in her. Then she was like the only one that managed to kind of soften Joffrey a bit, because I think Joffrey was quite into her.
Yeah.
And Tommen as well. He was pretty in love with her as well, and she had. This is a spoiler ranking, so she had quite a horrendous death. I still can't go over that scene in the. Was it a church? No, it was a courtroom.
It was the. I thought it was a church.
Mm-hmm. You remember that scene well?
Ceremony, wasn't it?
Do you remember that scene well?
I do, because I remember the music in it at the same time. The music was awesome. I think it's called like Light of the Seven. The song.
Yeah.
So I looked up specifically, and there's like loads of things happening at one time, isn't there? At that scene.
Yeah. No, it's a really good episode.
Yeah, it really cleaned house as well. A lot of people died that one bit.
Yeah, it was one of Cersei's best moments. So yeah, I thought Marjorie was a really interesting. Just loved the way she played the Game of Thrones and manipulated her way through the different kings. So went for Marjorie in 10th position.
Very nice, very nice.
What's your number 10?
I'm starting off quite humble, quite go down with Sir Davos Seaworth,
Okay.
the Onion Knight.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, I like his kind of story arc where he's with Stannis, and Stannis is obviously Stannis Kent is the good guy at the start. Not the good guy, but he's attacking the Lannisters, so in all aspects he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And then eventually he ends up with Jon Snow, and he goes from like a humble smuggler to a battlefield commander and fighting the battles with Jon Snow. And he's always the voice of reason when everybody else is losing their heads. He's the only one that keeps everybody grounded, and I quite like that about him. He's the kind of, I don't know, like the kind of voice of the audience, because we're all going like, why is somebody doing that? And then he's going, why are they doing that? That's crazy.
And he has a good relationship with Stannis' daughter as well.
Yes, poor Crispy.
Do you know that was not in the books? That was like created for the show.
I do know that because you told me that in the last episode.
I'm just checking you were listening. I actually remembered saying it as soon as I said it, actually. Yeah, and he also learns to read, which is quite a nice wee subplot as well.
Yeah, I thought he was just a good kind of all-round character. Like, I would have been sad if he died. Which you can't say for many of these characters.
Well, depends what route you went down. Yeah. So quite a left field first choice, I would say. I would class him as maybe like the C bracket in terms of importance, maybe, but he is a good guy.
Yeah. And we're meant to say this is our favourite character. It's not the best, not the kind of most like influential in the series, just our personal favourite characters.
Okay, so you said we wouldn't be sad about a lot of these people dying. Well, I was very sad when this person died. It was a character that they were just starting to come into their own and really starting to make their stamp on the kingdoms when his new wife and his unborn baby were taken away from him, and then his own life was taken away from him. I went for Robb Stark, number 9.
Good old Robb. What was he called again? Was it the Young Wolf or something? No, it wasn't Young Wolf, was it? It was the
White Wolf, Grey Wolf.
I think it was a White Wolf.
That was one of the sorest character losses in the whole series, I would say. Just the way,
it was one of the sorest character. Yeah, that was. It was one of the sorest character losses, and do you mean his loss?
No, him going, but obviously the circumstances of what he lost leading up to that as well. It's just a shame we didn't get to see him continue to develop. I think all us Scotsmen have a soft spot for a fellow Scotsman in the Game of Thrones world, and he was great in the Bodyguard. Did you watch that, the BBC show?
I did watch that. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah,
PC bud.
So yeah, I went Robb Stark. So yeah, number 9, Robb Stark.
Nice, I like that. He was a good guy. That was such a harrowing episode, the Red Wedding.
Rains of Castamere.
Yeah, you just hear that and you know the end is near.
You better not play that at my wedding.
Nah, probably not. It's too much effort.
We should do it. We should do it just to freak people out. Imagine it.
You think anyone would understand the reference?
Game of Thrones fans, if they heard it, would recognise it, I reckon.
All right, I'll hire about 10 extras to bring crossbows.
And Will Champion, the Coldplay drummer, he was in that scene.
Was it? Oh, was he playing the
drums
flute thing?
So Will Champion, he was in that, definitely.
Right. So my number 9. So we've gone from the humble, nice guy to the worst of the worst. It's Joffrey.
Joffrey. Spoilers for my rank. I couldn't bring myself to put him in as a favourite.
See, he's one of these guys you love to hate. Like every episode I've seen him in, I just wanted him to die the most horriblest, gruesome death. But
and he did.
He played. Oh, he could have been more gruesome. I'd say more blood coming out of more holes. Yeah, he was just the worst. Like every episode, he was just such a wee brat, and he was so entitled, and he would do anything to cause misery to like anyone he came across. And the character played it so well. Like I don't think anyone else could have done it as well as he did. And yeah, he came to a justifiable end. He definitely deserved it.
The purple wedding.
The purple wedding. But yeah, he was just absolutely diabolical, and I loved every second of it. I remember just sitting there watching it with mom and dad, and like they would just sit there the same, just like saying, "I hope he dies soon."
I can't imagine watching Game of Thrones with my mother.
Well, yeah, true. There was some awkwardness.
The actor Jack Gleeson, I think is his name. He seems to have just disappeared, so he's obviously not recovered from being Joffrey.
I think he just rested on his laurels and just retired on his Game of Thrones money.
Maybe. So my number 8 is a guy who really knows how to give a monologue while shearing a sheep. It may not have been a sheep, I can't remember. And he has an unfortunate experience on a toilet. He is a very suave man. He's a horrible person, but you can't help but think he's really cool. Tywin Lannister.
Good old Charles Dance.
Yes. I just couldn't leave him out. He's I think season 4 is when he dies, but he just steals every scene he's in, doesn't he?
Yeah, every scene's like a life lesson on how he knows like everything, and he's basically telling everybody else around him that they're stupid, and this is the way of the world, and he's just so wise, but unforgiving.
And he's got a good wee dynamic with Arya as well. And that scene when he arrives at King's Landing on the horse to win the battle, pretty epic as well.
Yeah. Couldn't say a bad word about Charles Dance's character. Like he's another one that he's just cold and calculating everything he does, which is quite funny the way his character ends up dying, because it's just like just not covered in glory whatsoever. Whereas everything else he's done is like so grandiose, and then to die in a toilet is just the kind of opposite of the way he lived.
Where he loses points is the way he treated Tyrion. I always hated the way he blamed him for his mother's death and like how he came into the world. So that was a place he did lose points.
Yeah, but had to spur him on to make Tyrion the man he was.
So 8 for me, Tywin Lannister. 8 for you.
I went for Stannis Baratheon.
I knew Stannis was going to be in there because you mentioned him last time as well.
In the House's ranking, I just found his character like kind of really interesting. He was always like very dutiful, but also he was like a really brilliant kind of commander. He was like a real general.
Yeah.
When it came to battles, and I quite like that on his character. The only bit I didn't like. Sorry, when you go.
He's a bit dull as well, is he not?
Yeah, a wee bit, but I kind of like that kind of aspect about him. Like he was just very kind of gruff and no thrills. But I enjoyed every scene he was in. It was quite important, and I just really enjoyed his character. He did get a wee bit odd. Like he was always based in reason, and then as soon as is it Melisandre the witch or the whatever she was, Melisandre got on the scene, became a bit weird. But yeah, it did have a different dimension to him. But I didn't really like that because it seemed like she got her hooks into him way too easy, and he ended up doing things that he probably wouldn't have done if she wasn't there.
Yeah. Wasn't my favourite part of the story. Like, it was interesting, but I actually prefer Game of Thrones when it didn't have magic and it was just about the swords and the brains.
Yeah. And aye, just as politics. Imagine politics these days were sort of do it that way.
Yeah. So I am really looking forward to this new show. I really hope it delivers. It'd be good to get back into the world. And,
yeah. Have you heard much about it? Is like budget wise, is it going to be like a big epic like the other series?
I don't know about budget, but it's been heavily advertised anyway. It's all about the kind of succession of the Iron Throne within the Targaryen family, and there seems to be a female character who's kind of vying for the throne. And yeah, should be quite interesting. So number 7 for me, the lovable sidekick, Game of Thrones version of Neville Longbottom, the bookworm himself, Samwell Tarly.
Samwell.
You just can't not love the guy. Like, he had such a great arc from the absolute coward who went on to kill a White Walker to getting the girl and then becoming a maester of the Citadel, and then he had a really great arc, and he just had so much heart. He's so funny, great friend to Jon Snow, and yeah, I just felt I couldn't leave him out. Just you said Davos is like the voice of the audience. I feel like Samwell's the heart of the show.
I like that view. Yeah, he does provide quite a lot of comic relief as well. I do like that about him. And does he not? Is he not really the one that discovers Dragonglass or something?
Yeah.
Defeats walkers. So in essence, he's like one of the big heroes.
Yeah, he has. He is very similar to Neville in the Harry Potter series, in that he starts out bumbling and becomes like a warrior, and has quite a big role. So that's probably maybe what he was based on, to be honest.
Yeah, he does have a good arc, doesn't he? Because at the start, he's just scared of everything, and he's scared of going outside the wall and everything, isn't he?
Yeah, and he gets absolutely beat up in the courtyard as well.
Mm-hmm.
Doing these I really do want to do like a Game of Thrones rewatch. Like, see, just talking about some of the old episodes and the characters. I might actually do it.
God, I wish I could find the time.
Alien likes it though, so probably will get happy sticking it on in the evening.
Well, Scarlett's only seen up to, I think, season 3, so I could maybe get
it. So what was your number 7?
My number 7 was Captain Phasma / Brienne of Tarth.
Nice.
I quite liked her character just because she was just so duty bound. She was always the one to do the right thing. And I also quite liked her Will They Won't They with Jaime Lannister.
Not the way it finished, though.
No. But she did have quite a good couple of team ups. She liked when she teamed up with Jaime Lannister. It was really good. Really enjoyed that. And when they run the run together, and when she ends up back like at Winterfell and stuff, defending, was it Arya? She was sworn to defend.
Both girls.
Was it both girls? Yeah. So even then, she carries out her oath right up to the final seasons. She was always quite an interesting character because, like, she was a knight, so she had all these kind of restrictions and stuff, and everybody like took the mick out of her and made fun of her, but she was always just stern and gave as good as she got. So yeah, I went for Brienne of Tarth.
I think what maybe put me off Brienne being in the top 10, like Stannis as well, is they're very, very straight laced. You don't get a lot of the kind of humor from them, but obviously characters have to be different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't have too much of the same thing. But my number 6 is a little conniving man who is the lord of a really, really small place called the Fingers. And he is basically the guy pulling the strings for the large majority of the show. And he's finger in many pies, and he has it's quite a satisfying death scene, I would say. Obviously, you probably guessed by my ramblings that I'm talking about Peter Baelish, aka Littlefinger.
Littlefinger. Can you do an impression of him? Stranger.
Oh, we're meant to do impressions today, weren't we?
Yeah, I totally forgot. We'll say
Save
that
that.
for
Save it for the end of this. We'll try it then.
I can't do it.
That's the hook, folks, to stay on to the end. So, what are your thoughts on young Peter Baelish?
Yeah, he was a wee bam. He was always playing both sides. You could never actually. You didn't believe a word that ever came out of his mouth. That he was always offering to help people, and you knew as soon as you entered into a deal with him, there was a good chance he was going to screw you over.
I did tell you not to trust me.
How did he die again? I totally forgot.
Basically, he's trying to turn like Arya and Sansa against each other at Winterfell, and then they kind of hatch a plan in secret, and eventually they accuse him of all like, the crimes, and then I can't remember how he actually dies.
I thought you just said he dies a good death. What happened?
I remember the episode and I remember the build-up, but I don't remember how. Does he get stabbed? Is it Arya that takes him out? Maybe. No, does Arya not slit his throat? Maybe.
That's what it does sound familiar.
Possibly.
I was just about to say this. So he gets his throat slit.
Another good reason to rewatch the show is if you're forgetting some of these details. I just felt, again, he's not like one you love. Well, you kind of love him because he's so sneaky, and he is in like the large majority of the show all the way through to like the later seasons, and he has some quite iconic moments, like when he pushes Lysa Arryn down the moon door.
Yeah.
And when he holds the knife to Ned Stark's throat and says, like, I told you not to trust me. I just think he was a very memorable character that you always thought he would eventually meet his end, but it was kind of sad in a way when he did because it meant there was no more.
I don't know. I thought he was going to be like a kind of a cockroach character that would survive anything. Like he would just survive right to the end just because he was so devious.
Because I'm not sure how much you get it in the show, but he was like a childhood friend of Lysa Arryn and Catelyn Stark.
Yeah,
he was their ward.
So he looked after him.
You know how Theon was a ward to the Starks?
Yeah. Oh, right, okay, great. Yeah.
I think it's like something that happened in the wars. Like if like the Greyjoys got defeated, the Starks essentially took his child as like insurance. So it was a bit like that for Baelish as well.
Okay.
Ned Stark was meant to be married to. No, who was it? Was Caitlin not meant to marry Ned's big brother instead of him?
Oh, I can't remember that.
Is it Eddard? Is that his name?
Is that on Ned?
No, what's the big brother called again?
Oh, I can't remember.
Another good reason to rewatch it. Anyway, I'm Pat Lennon. What's your number? Was this your number 6 or your number 5?
This is my number 6.
Okay, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is what's gone from somebody you can't trust and Littlefinger from you to somebody that you can trust to have your back 100%. It's Tormund.
I had to think for a second who Tormund was. The ginger guy.
A ginger wildling.
I think you're a bit of a wildling these days.
I'm trying my best. Yeah, I just loved Tormund. He was such a good kind of bit of comic relief, but also a fierce warrior. He had like just loads of great wee moments. It would lighten the moment, but it could also bring out like a really like inspiring few words. When the situation looked hopeless, which I really liked about him. He was always fearless. He was always willing to go above and beyond to do what needed to be done. Survived his fair share of battles, and when he has the hots for Brienne, I think it's just really really funny as well. Trying to woo her. So yeah, my number 6 is Tormund.
Do you think they went maybe? You probably disagree, but do you think they maybe went a wee bit too far down the humor route with him because he wasn't really like that in his earlier appearances, was he?
No, not really. He was just like one of the lead wildlings, but I don't know. I think I like the way they portrayed him when he did put a bit of humour into him. Like it wasn't like daftness; it was just he would say things and it'd give a good wee chuckle.
I think it's just a case of the writers obviously listen to the fans, and when they find out they like a character, then that he probably got a bigger role because of that.
Yeah, except for Game of Thrones, if you really like a character, that means they hit the chopping block pretty quick.
No one's safe. So my number 5 is a character that you're scared of, you hate. He's quite funny, he's brutal, but he's actually got a pretty good heart, and he's not got a lot of time for his brother. He's also got quite a lot in common with Anakin Skywalker. And if you like Star Wars, check out our Obi-Wan reviews. And number 5, he is nicknamed like an animal. His normal name is Sandor Clegane, and his nickname is the Hound.
Surprised he's so far up your list, but yeah.
Well, I thought he was really funny. Like, as I said, you don't like him at first, but when he starts having like his kind of buddy cop relationship with Arya, he really grows on you. I just think he's hilarious, and I wish I could quote him, but I would get kicked off my own show if I tried to quote the Hound. You'll know the bit where it's lots of people name their swords. Yeah, lots of bad words.
Just say it, and I'll maybe beep it out in editing.
No, I don't trust your editing skills that much yet. So yeah, I think another one had a great arc. Like you always had that rivalry with him and his brother, and you get that showdown, and he's just present a lot of the time. And he's another one that goes from being like a Lannister guard to being one of the good guys essentially, and going off up to the ice above the wall to fight the zombies.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about his death?
It's him and his brother jump down, don't they?
Yeah, I think he pulls his brother into the fire or something, doesn't he?
It didn't bother me too much because I felt like they were hyping their battle up for ages. It probably wasn't as good as it was hyped to be. They were calling it Clegane Bowl, weren't they?
Clegane Bowl.
That was like the nickname for it, Clegane Bowl.
All right, I never heard that. No.
So yeah, I just always thought he was hilarious, and he does have quite a good heart, really. Like he's like that kind of brash guy that when you get to know them, they're actually quite nice. You'll meet people like that in your own life. Do you know what I mean? He had some absolutely brutal moments as well, though. But I think most characters in Game of Thrones did. So on the whole, the Hound is number 5.
Beautiful, beautiful. My number 5 is craziness personified. I went for Ramsay Bolton.
Oh, of course you would have Ramsay Bolton in your top 5.
Oh, I think I spoke about him in the last episode, but he's kind of on the same vein of Joffrey. Jeffrey.
You've been hanging out with my uncle too much.
Yeah. My name is Jeff. Sorry. So Ramsay Bolton, number 5. I put him in because in the same vein as Joffrey, but he's just that bit more evil, I would say. He's always got that kind of maniacal grin on his face, and when he's torturing Theon, aka Reek, you can just tell he's enjoying it far too much. And everything he does is just cold and calculated. But he's a savage at the same time. Like, he'd just happily let his dogs rip apart people. And he'd enjoy it so much. I liked how he toyed with Rickon with the arrows.
Yeah, I'd love to rewatch that episode actually.
Yeah, that one. Like, the 2 episodes that I'd probably watch are that one and
Red Wedding.
You know the episode with when the Lannisters are all marching and they get attacked by what do you call it? The dragons. And what were Daenerys's horse riders called again?
Like the Dothraki.
Dothraki, that's the ones. When the Lannisters get attacked by the Dothraki and the dragons. I really like that episode as well.
Yeah, is that the one with the train with all the money? The loot
train?
Yeah. Do you know what's quite funny that the amount of hits we got on the houses ranking, we spent the first half of that not remembering anybody's names.
I know. It's also coming back to us as we're talking about it.
I think we've been a lot better in this episode in terms of remembering names, but obviously part of this process was looking up the names, so that's probably why. So my number 4, I didn't originally think I was going to put this character this high because they could be perceived as a wee bit dull, but he is a wee bit dull, but he's also quite funny. He's quite naive and very humble and doesn't believe his own self-importance, and he's always looked out for the little guy. And even when he found out he had a different name, I think it was Aegon Targaryen, and I think Jon Snow is just another character like his pal Samwell that's just got a lot of heart, massive part of the story. You go through the agony and the spoilers of him dying and coming back, and he just had a lot of great relationships with Arya and the Ygritte, and not as big a fan of the relationship with Daenerys. That's his auntie. But yeah, I feel like Jon Snow's got to be within the discussion. Also, just while we're doing this, see if anyone's ever not watched it. There's I've probably bored you and showed you it before. There's like a Coldplay parody of Game of Thrones where a lot of the actors are in it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. You showed me it many times. Was that where you started saying that Red Wedding bit?
Yeah, Red Wedding, yeah. So yeah, I think Jon Snow has got to be up in those Champions League spots because he's Jon Snow and he's the King of the North.
See, I don't know. I had him at number 10, and I don't know. He kind of slipped down.
He's not in your top 10.
Spoilers, he's not in the top 10.
Big admission.
I know.
You know nothing, Paul Kelly.
He was a bit dull in times and just naive.
You know nothing, Paul Kelly.
So, what was that? Your number 4, wasn't it?
Yep.
So, my number 4, I went for Braun.
Oh.
I really liked him just because he was like the epitome of a mercenary. Like, he would do anything for money, and he didn't care about what anyone else was doing, as long as he got paid. But he showed wee signs of kind of caring, like he would go out his way to save Jamie if he had to, or help out somebody if he had to. But starts off quite brash, and then he kind of grows on you. And see the hero of Blackwater Bay, is the one that shot the arrow into the ship that destroyed all the Baratheon ships.
He definitely gets rewarded after that battle. Is that not when he gets promised his castle?
I think so. But does he ever get his castle? He doesn't, does he?
He probably doesn't in the end. What do you make of him being made like the treasurer at the end?
I like that. I wouldn't trust him with it, but I like it.
Yeah, it was a bit like kind of job for the boys, wasn't it? The way they allocated the roles at the end.
I know. That's like me. I got made treasurer or something one time, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, Braun, I did enjoy his dynamic with Jamie.
Yeah, they made a really good team, and he was always just giving Jamie like a hard time when he got his hand cut off, and he was trying to use his weaker hand, and he just wasn't caring. He wasn't taking any excuses. He was just like, you need to do better. Otherwise, I'll just leave you to die.
Yeah, that was good. So my number 3 is, to me, just signifies Game of Thrones. Like when I think of, or when I say Game of Thrones, it's the first person I think of. Just, again, like his nephew, could be construed as a wee bit dull, but just really honourable. He started off the story. It was the first big shocking moment when he lost his noggin, and his presence is there throughout the show. At start, obviously, and even right up to the very end of the show when you find out, because it's quite good. See when you rewatch the first season, when he's like saying to Jon, like, when we meet again, we'll talk about your mother. They never meet again, but then you obviously find out that he took Jon on after his sister died. So I just think he's such an important character, and that image is on the cover of one of the, I think it's the first season, the box set of him sitting on the Iron Throne. And yeah, just I really hope, I don't know if he is, but don't say it anyway. I really hope Ned Stark's in your top 3, because to me he is Game of Thrones to me. Yeah, I said
it. But he's not your number 1.
He is the Game of Thrones.
Interesting.
Just because I think he signifies Game of Thrones, he's like the image. It doesn't necessarily make him my favorite character.
Okay. So my number 3, you've gone from the big man. I'm going to the wee man. I'm talking about Tyrion Lannister.
A drink in a new things. Dragons do not do well in captivity.
He definitely got the good draw when it came to all the good lines. Like, he's just got so many good one-liners, and he just rips the absolute Mickey out of everybody. But he has really good storylines as well. Like, he has this kind of arc where he's like just dead arrogant and does what he wants, and then he starts caring about people and seeing the bigger picture and wanting to help Dany when he escapes after killing his dad. I like his relationship with Jamie. Like, it's not really that great at the start, and then they come to care for each other a lot. There's quite a few tearful moments as well, but
I would disagree with that. I would say they were always pretty close.
At the start, I don't know. I didn't really get that.
sometimes like maybe I've read like most of the books. Maybe sometimes you get a bit from that, but Jamie was like the only one in the family that actually treated him like a human being and actually looked out for him. So I think they always were pretty close.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm misremembering. Anyway, the relationship was good. So, he's just so clever and witty. I just love it. So, Tyrion for me is number 3.
He could also hold his own in a fight. Like there was some times where he would just get like rocks and just get people with them. Like he had some badass moments as well. And when he coordinated the Battle of
Blackwater Bay.
I really liked that. Was some of my favorite parts of the show when he was like the hand of the king and he was pulling all the strings. I was kind of sad when that ended.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good wee section with it.
And he had all the heartbreak with Shay as well, which was pretty brutal.
Did he kill Shay?
I think he did in the end, yeah.
Yeah.
She was with Tywin.
That's right. So
did
he killed Shay just before Tywin?
I think he did, yeah. I think he used the chain there, then he went to with the crossbow or something.
Yeah. Anyway.
One thing on Tyrion is went downhill a wee bit in the last couple of seasons. Started just being a wee bit not as effective, maybe, and losing a wee bit of his swagger.
Yeah, he's just a bit of a sideshow compared to everything on. He just didn't have much influence over things. He was just that kind of a side character after a while.
Yeah. So number 2 for me is a character that in the middle is like the public's favourite. He's public enemy number 1 at the start of the show, but he makes a poor decision at the end by ditching Captain Phasma and going back with his sister, Jaime Lannister. You absolutely detest him in season 1, don't you? But you just grow to love him over a period of time. You've not watched a spoiler. It's a spoiler for Rebels, actually.
Spoiler for what, sorry?
Rebels.
What is in Rebels?
No, he's not in Rebels, but there's a character in Rebels that has a kind of similar arc to him in some ways and kind of looks a bit like him.
Spoil it for me.
It's that I've actually forgotten his name, which is quite bad. The kind of main Imperial officer.
Yes,
Rebels.
I do know him. Agent something.
Agent Callus, yeah.
Callus.
He gets kind of Jaime Lannister here in the later seasons, so that's maybe why it made me think of it. Anyway, total track. Jaime Lannister, a fan?
I love Jaime Lannister.
So he must be in your top 2 because you haven't mentioned him. And if you love him, then he'll definitely be in your top 2, I would say.
I love him, but he might not be one of my favourites.
Well, he's one of my favourites anyway. Apart from the way he treated Brienne, that was bang out.
I know. I really thought they were going to get together.
Yeah.
But it did not happen.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think a lot of people had great endings, like him and Cersei getting crushed by the rocks.
Yeah, a lot of people have been through a lot, and then it just kind of ended up in petering out to nothing.
Wasn't a massive fan of that ending anyway. But your number 2 then?
My number 2, I went for Varys.
Oh, didn't expect that, but there you go.
The spider. Yeah, I went for him because I think in every scene that he was in, he kind of stole the show. You're always kind of hanging on his every word because he's kind of like similar to like your Littlefinger kind of pick. He always knew what was going on, and if he didn't, he would find out. And he was always like thinking like 3 steps ahead. Like if this goes wrong, I'll need to do this. If this goes wrong, I need to do that. But he was always looking out for the best interests of the realm.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't out for himself. He was always selfless. But to achieve the things he had to achieve, it was always underhanded tactics in the shadows. And I just really liked his role as a spy master in King's Landing.
Yeah, I did enjoy listening to his little monologues, and he was always speaking in riddles, so you did really have to listen. There was that great scene, I think it was him and Littlefinger walking through the kind of bills of the King's Landing, and Arya overhears them.
I can't remember that scene, but
he's basically talking about how Ned Stark's going to be in danger.
Oh, in the first season.
Show was so good though, wasn't it? See, like when they were hunting down like Robert's children, and it's just brutal, but it was just so like intense.
Yeah, it was a great series overall. Like everything from start to finish, like we're saying in the live video, like it didn't stick the landing, but all the way through, like everything was so good, the action was so good, the characters were so good, the costumes, the set design, like everything was at such a high standard. And you just couldn't complain. You just couldn't complain at all.
People did though.
Well, yeah, there's always people that will hate for the sake of hating.
One honourable mention, I just had to mention him because I thought of him just there, was I wish I could have if I really had done. I really wish I could have put Robert Baratheon in.
Aye,
he's just such an OG. I just thought he was funny. Like he was horrible the way he treated women, but it was funny too that he was just this fat king that just didn't care anymore and just drank all day and went hunting. Like I don't know. Him and Ned are like the kind of two OGs, aren't they, of the series?
yeah.
We see. Yeah. Right. So my number one is someone who's already been mentioned. We've already spoken about him. My number one is Tyrion. He almost lost his number one spot because he's kind of the way he went down, but how he is in the earlier seasons, and he just has some epic moments. Remember his speech when he's on trial for Joffrey's. I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had. Not bad.
Your Tyrion impression is actually pretty good.
No, it's not.
Better than most things we do. I knew as soon as we did this that your favourite would be Tyrion.
Yeah. I feel it's just funny, like just the way he just got out of things. Remember when he basically just convinced Bronn to fight for him up in the Sky Tower?
Yeah.
Just his conversations with like Jon Snow. I remember when he was in Castle Black and most of them hated him, and he would just like insult their living quarters and just totally bam them up.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he was great at bargaining his way out of things.
And his best moment was when he slapped Joffrey.
Was that at the table?
No, it was outside in like the yard. It was at Winterfell. Basically, Bran had just fallen out the window, and Joffrey hadn't went to pay his respects, and he's basically like, "Go show your respects." And then I think Joffrey mouthed off at him, so he just smacked him.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he should have hit him harder, and it would be well deserved.
It's up there with Ryan Kent and Scott Brown.
You had to mention Rangers here somewhere, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to. Right. So let me work yours out. So you're number one.
By the way, you could be here for another hour and you'd be working it out.
Is your number one random?
So random, so left field.
Right. I'm just looking at my honorable mentions. Is it Hodor?
Nope.
Jorah Mormont?
Nope. Imagine having number one as Hodor.
Who is it then?
Jaqen H'ghar.
Really?
Yeah. The man of many faces.
Because of your screen name?
No.
Not really your number one.
He's my number one.
It's so random.
I know. I think it's just because he's such an intriguing character, and like his kind of backstory. I thought the guy that played him, who won his faces, Tom. Probably going to butcher his name.
Cleverly.
Flashiha. Tom Flashiha. I think he's a German actor. I thought he played him really well, and his dynamic with Arya when he's like the Lannister guard, he's like, a man needs a name.
Yeah.
I like that wee dynamic between the two of them, and a wee kind of to and froing, and the fact that he helps Arya and then trains her to be an assassin like him because he sees potential in her, but he also cares about her as well, I think. But I just found just a kind of really intriguing. It must have been like, I don't know. It's kind of like John Wick, where they've got their own kind of wee world and they've built a wee world for themselves. So they've got their own set of rules. So that you give them names and they can just go out and kill them. They can change their face when they want to. They worship a totally different god compared to everybody else. It's like the god of many faces.
Many face god. Yeah, I liked his bit in the earlier seasons, but I must admit, the reason Arya is not anywhere near my list is because of that whole arc with the faces. I felt like that really dragged. I don't know about you.
Yeah, when she was chased by the other girl all around the place.
The way
again, beat up all the time.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that subplot, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I didn't really care for the plot itself, but I liked his character in it. I mostly liked it for when he was the Lannister guard and he was wanting the names off him, but I just really liked the kind of mystery of it all. So that was my left field number one.
There you go. I was not expecting that. So a few honourable mentions from me. I've mentioned Robert Baratheon. I had Varys. I didn't want to have Varys and Littlefinger because they're quite similar in terms of their character, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I had Daenerys for the majority of the show's runtime. Like, I think everyone liked Daenerys maybe up until like the last season.
Yeah, and even that, it was halfway through the last season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because she was the one that was going to change the world, stop slavery. She didn't want to kill innocents, and then the switch flipped real quick, and her going bad, which I didn't like.
Far too quick. Cersei was on my list, not because I like her, but she is a great character. Like, she was just so evil and, to use your word, like calculating, and she had a lot of big moments. I don't like. It's hard to like Cersei though. I know you put ones in your list that were like evil characters, but she was kind of hard to put in there. Theon, for a lot of the runtime, like, he's very arrogant at first, but becoming really humbles him, and his
losing your ding dong would humble you.
Yeah, but when he saves like Sansa and then he redeems himself, like Sansa's very sad when he dies, and so I think Oberyn Martell was just I know we love him just because of the Mandalorian as well, but he was a really cool character who wasn't about for that long. I had Bronn, I had Podrick.
Podrick.
Walder Frey, another like horrible character, but just funny. Mostly because it's Argus Filch as well. Who else did I have? Vienne was on there. Jorah Mormont. I thought he was a pretty interesting character. Like his arc with getting the disease he had as well. I had Joffrey, who again I struggled to like.
The disease from the Eternal Friend Zone.
Aye, that one. I had Olenna as an honourable mention, the Tyrell grandmother.
Oh yeah.
I had Ramsay again, but Ramsay, like Cersei and Joffrey, I just didn't like them enough to put them on. Hodor's on the list. And a couple of random leftover ones. Gendry, I thought his character was quite interesting, how he was Robert's heir, essentially, and became his heir ultimately at the end. And someone who's not really in the show, but is such an important character in the show, because you think he's going to be horrible like the rest of his family, but he's actually a really nice guy. Rhaegar Targaryen. He obviously plays a big part in the background of the story. So that was my honourable mentions.
Nice. So you kind of covered most of the ones that I had as well. I don't think I had anyone different than you, I don't think. No, so mine's pretty much the same. I had the mountain in there as well, even though it doesn't set in for like 7 seasons.
Yeah.
I quite just liked him looming in the background.
I love those jousting scenes in the first season.
Oh yeah.
Pretty brutal, weren't they?
It's a different actor that plays the mountain in the first season, isn't it?
Indeed. Okay, so that brings to a close our ranking of our top 10 favourite Game of Thrones characters. And yet again, I enjoyed the trip down Westeros in memory lane.
Down the King's Road.
Yes, and it's definitely doing these two podcasts has really got me hyped about watching this show, and I'm interested to just go into it with a fresh perspective and see how it goes.
Yeah. So when's that? When does
first episode comes out on a Monday?
Monday, right? Okay.
So if you can work out a way to watch it, we could maybe get a wee review of the premiere on the go.
I'm sure I'll wangle something.
Cool. So just to finish off, I've mentioned already that we are on YouTube as Seismic Cinema. We've got 57 subscribers, but 80% of you don't subscribe. So get subscribing, click the bell, notification bell. And you can check us out on Anchor for our audio podcasts and Spotify, Google Pods, Apple Pods, Good Pods, Audible, Amazon Music, all those ones. And we're also on social media as Seismic Cinema on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And we're almost at 1,000 Twitter followers. So that'll be another nice milestone to follow, getting the 1,200 views on the last video.
Yeah, it's been ticking up quite well, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I think that's where we'll finish off for today. So thank you for listening or watching or however you're consuming your content. And Paul is going to remind us what our slogan is.
The power of being burnt alive by dragons.
One day, Paul, we'll get this right. Our slogan is actually the power of escapism, and escaping to Westeros is always an enjoyable yet frightening time. So that's from us at Seismic Cinema, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one. Thanks for listening.